Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was telling you a few days ago, I may have, I was watching a video, an article on, reading an article online, and they had a gentleman, Brian Sluzerchuk, and he was the president and director of a company called Kenadyr Mining. It's essentially a junior miner, which they say is, from what I've been reading anyways, that they're kind of an advanced stage junior mining company at this point. Um, I was lucky enough to finally get a hold of him. We've kind of playing phone, or not phone tag, more like email tag a couple times. And he has given me a few moments of his time to talk about gold. One of the things that I love gold and silver, any metals for that matter. And as I've mentioned recently, I've been looking into the alt metals and that sort of thing, which has led me into the junior mining companies such as Keith Newmayer's, company. I always talk about that silver, First Majestic Silver. Um, but I'm starting to see a few other companies going into that space. And if you look at how a lot of institutional investors now, as of this year, are starting to creep back into precious metals, I think the time might be ripe to start looking at some of these companies. So I'm able to have him on the show right now. He's actually in Zurich right now at a gold show. Brian, are you there?
I am, Joe. Thanks a lot for having me on.
So you're actually at the gold show there right now as we speak, like outside talking to me?
Absolutely. I stepped outside to take the call. I'm in Zurich here at the Gold Show, and this show is an annual event where a number of the world's most influential thinkers in gold, in silver, come to and meet with emerging producers, advanced stage exploration companies, production entities, and it's just a great event not only to get out and meet some of the institutions that are very active in the space, but it also enables attendees to get a real feel for what the attitude is amongst the groups that know gold, that know silver better than anybody else.
So how long has this been going on in this particular show you've attended? Like as far as days now, did it just start today, or has it been going on for a few days?
No, this is the final day of the show. It started 3 days ago. A number of attendees do arrive a day or two early for private one-on-one meetings. And what this really represents is it's a meeting spot for people that are deploying capital in the space, institutional investors from all over the world, with the companies that are publicly traded entities that are in the gold and silver business.
So what is this thus far? I guess I should ask, since it's the last day, you've probably got a feel as to what's happening on in that space, I should say. What is the feeling? What is the temperature for gold that you're gathering from being there?
You know, it's very interesting over the past few days. What I've ascertained, and that's this, is that due to a 5 or 6 year slowdown in the space, a number of majors let go of staff, let go of geologists, dropped high quality exploration projects, and now all of a sudden that we're starting to enter this stealth bull market in gold and silver, these large entities, these large major mining companies, and even the large mid-tier mining companies need to replace depleting resources. Remember, a mining company that's in operation every day is taking ounces out of the ground that they just don't get back. So they need to replace those ounces via exploration on their own projects, and often these projects that they own are fully explored already, or they need to make acquisitions. And what I'm seeing at this show is that there's no doubt that the majors and the mid-tiers have mandates to be actively out there looking for acquisitions of high-quality gold and silver projects. And at the same time, what we're seeing is there's just a real scarcity of those projects around. So as more generalist capital comes into the space, and right now I think it's been very focused gold and silver-centric funds driving this stealth bull market so far. But when generalist institutional capital starts to creep into the space, that combined with a scarcity of advanced stage projects could just be exceptionally bullish here for companies that have good assets.
Wow. So if I'm looking, and I follow the gold and silver prices pretty much daily. We had kind of a low back in, I think, December or so of last year. So it's been a few months into the new year, and we've seen gold pretty much jumping, and it was fighting to stay above 1,200, and now it looks anyways like it's not coming back down to 1,200, and even silver was over, I think, 1,850 here last time I looked yesterday or somewhere around there. Like they're both creeping back up, and I know a lot of my subscribers understand that what we like to call the club, or the powers that be, they like to manipulate the price of a lot of things. It's not just gold and silver. They manipulate the price of pretty much everything as far as I'm concerned. But I'm noticing a trend, and a friend of mine that does YouTube videos and stuff, his name is Bix Weir, and he noticed last year that silver, it was taking 40-something% more money on the paper exchanges to keep these prices down, just to keep a little bit more of a stranglehold on them. And here we see that they're still fighting back. The prices are trying desperately to break out. So now we have stats coming, and at least me, that's what I cover like almost every day now, is these stats, like hard data, not soft, hope-filled, the economy is going to recover in a fantastic way because of this and that, but actual data that's saying, look, it's costing us now it takes $4 of debt creation in the U.S. to create $1 of positive GDP growth. We've had sub 2%, GDP year after year after year after year. If this is a recovery, what's going on? So I always try to tell people, look, if you look at precious metals in the history, and I mean thousands of years, from hundreds to thousands of years back, you will see precious metals have always come out on top to, save people their financial livelihood. So I'm a big, big, big proponent of precious metals. My favorite one is silver, but so goes gold, so goes silver, so goes silver, so goes gold. And right now, like you say, I think we're starting to see some of the institutional investors starting to creep into that space. You just had J.P. Morgan. I just did a video this morning on J.P. Morgan, Jamie Dimon, CEO, talking about, we got a problem in the U.S., basically, and these markets are overpriced and all this other stuff. And I think we may see a pullback on the exchanges. You're going to see retirement people get nervous. You're going to see the people who manage that money, the managed money, get nervous. And I think we're going to start to see them flood into the precious metals space. So I understand, again, you have a company, Kenadyr Mining. Can you tell us what exactly you guys are doing? What is, it's pretty obvious what you do, but where are you guys doing it, we should say, and what looks good on the horizon for you guys?
Joe, we were very fortunate to be out there looking for gold assets when very few groups were, when the rest of the world was really not paying attention to the economic uncertainty, the absurd fiscal and monetary policy that the Western world has endured over the last decade. Gold was out of favor, but we were out there looking for high-quality gold assets, and what we found is what our geological team thinks is a really remarkable asset. It's been subject to extensive past drilling, extensive past work on the ground, and the capital investment that goes along with that. There are significant historic estimates that we can go in and test, and these are high-grade and very sizable historic estimates, and we're able to go in, test them, look to not only confirm these but expand them. And strategically, the location is phenomenal. It actually, our land package actually encircles the existing mining operation of a super major. And that super major is Zijin Mining. Their existing deposit that is in production now, that they just invested $300 million into connects with mineralization on Kenadyr's ground. So not only geologically is this asset very exciting, not only does it host immense potential for high grade and for size, but strategically it's accessed by a paved highway. It's on the hydroelectric grid. And as I say, our ground encircles a super major. It's located in Kyrgyzstan, which was a country that had substantial past investment, has a long history in the natural resource space. Most of their GDP comes from the mining sector. So it's a country we feel very fortunate to work in. And we benefit from the fact that there was a lot of past Soviet drilling in the 1950s and 60s. And what some modern drilling has indicated is that those old Soviet estimates done 50, 60 years ago potentially understated the gold grade quite dramatically. And remember, in the 1950s and 60s, they were using what we would consider now very outdated drilling equipment. Their core recoveries were very poor. In particular, the core recoveries were very poor in the softer areas of the zone, which in this type of deposit are often associated with very elevated levels of gold mineralization. So with enhanced core recovery, we've seen some modern drilling indicate that those old drill efforts underestimated grade. So when we look at the historical data, we look at the potential not only to confirm it, but to actually improve on it dramatically. And these historical estimates are already very high grade. And as I say, the mineralization in what we call our south zone connects to the ore body of a super major that's in operation now, that has recently invested $300 million getting into operation. So we feel very fortunate that we were looking for gold assets when other companies weren't. And we just came to trade a few days ago. So you're introducing this to your listeners at a very early stage. We trade on the TSX Venture under the symbol KEN, or easier to remember, Ken. And this is only 3 to 4 days old, so your listeners are hearing this opportunity right at the start.
And this is the Canadian exchange, correct? Are you planning on allowing any of your stocks to be purchased in America anytime soon, and on our exchanges?
Yeah. We would guess that over the next few weeks we will have a U.S. symbol.
Okay.
Right now, investors can purchase it on the TSX Venture, and we do understand that many Americans are able to purchase on the TSX Venture.
Yeah.
But over the next few weeks, we would hope to have our U.S. symbol up and live.
Well, that sounds like interesting news. I was doing a interview a little while back on a cobalt mine, I think in Utah, and it's funny because it was another company basically located out of Canada, and I see, once again, you guys are kind of running out of Canada as well. I almost feel like, us Americans, at least our the mining mentality in America is not where it should be for sure. But almost like you guys are leaving us behind. I haven't heard any of American companies coming out doing what you guys are doing up north, and taking the ball and running with it. I get quite a few emails where people say, well, I don't want to hold physical metals. I'm nervous about that, and I don't want to put them in the bank, and I certainly don't want someone to hold it for me at some place that's supposed to be safe, but it's really not. And, what else do you recommend? I'm like, well, the only other thing is like mining, look at some of the junior miners. So I'd always send them a list and things. But now that I've got the cobalt thing, I kind of looked into that because they use it for making lithium. It's part of the process for making lithium batteries. So I thought that would be interesting to kind of put in my list. And I kind of have a running list of just a handful of companies like junior miners like you guys. Again, if anybody is interested, again, you want to diversify a little bit off your physical metals. Again, the junior miners are something to look at. In this case, we have Kenadyr Mining currently you can only get on the Canadian exchange, which is the TSXV exchange. And again, I've got in front of me the symbol is Ken, Ken. But hopefully, like he said, within a few weeks or so, maybe I'll be on one of the American exchanges here, make it a lot easier for us to get. But I know there's plenty of brokerages and places you can go online, and they already are connected to that exchange, and you can buy it. And that's probably what I'm going to do anyways. So, Brian, is there anything else you need to add, or anything interesting in the works, or any other information you want to say?
I guess I'm really proud to be involved in this situation. We're there early. I think it's a world-class opportunity. But I think it just is worth mentioning that the real driving force behind this has been a fellow, Dr. Alex Becker. And Alex is the CEO of the company. I'm the president, as you mentioned earlier. And Alex is a PhD geologist, has spent the better part of 20 years working in this area, with the driving force as to introducing our group to the region. And our group's had a lot of success around the world. And we just feel so fortunate that Alex has involved us in this, because it is an opportunity that we think is just exceptionally unique, not only because of the very high grade potential, the large size potential, but the fact that we encircle an existing operation that a super major is running. So I'd just like to thank you also for having me on to introduce it to your listeners at such an early stage.
Well, it could potentially turn into something that's maybe life-changing for people. You invest in the right thing. I try to, I was mentioning the other day, not that I would even advise people to do this when it happened, but you could have made money. And that was when we had the cash for clunkers, thing years ago, and we had to bail out the auto industry, taxpayer bailout. Ford was trading at like $1.68, and then after that, in a short period of time, jumped to $20. That's a car manufacturer. Where I think the world is heading with gold-backed currency sometime in the near future, when the whole debt bubble implodes, I think this could be that type of opportunity where something's like $1, whatever, a share, and it jumps to 20, 30, 40 bucks. It just goes crazy, because that's where the money's going to flow. When people get nervous, investors get nervous, they've chased all the momentum they can chase, and they see the market starting to come down, and they know they're not going to go back up. There's only one safe haven that keeps proving itself as a safe haven over and over and over again. That's precious metals. So you have, again, there's plenty of opportunities. It's not, let's face it, you're not the only junior mining company or even some of the majors out there. There's quite a few of them, but it matters to me what these guys are doing. And what I found that you guys have been doing, again, I'm just from the research before I even talked to you, you guys appear to definitely be doing some things that I definitely think would make your company rise above some of the other ones. So again, that's partially why I've got you on, because I want to share that information with my viewers. So Brian, I want to thank you for coming on, and I'm not sure if there's anything left in the gold show for you to go in and disseminate, but if there is, I guess I'll let you get back to that.
Great. Thanks so much.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Well, I've had a few opportunities to reach out to some of these, in this case, the CEO. Like I said the other day, I was talking about the company with the cobalt mine in Utah. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not scared. Like, not even in the back of my mind, like, well, what if they confiscate gold, or what, if they try to confiscate? I'm not even kind of worried about confiscation, because if you look at the videos that I've told you, two of them in particular from Bill Still, the Money Masters and the Secret of Oz was kind of his part two of that. Just kind of fixed a few errors and the small things. But he shows where we always do this kind of thing with paper money, and then it implodes, and then gold back currency lasts for a while, and then we got to get back to the paper currency. But before they do that, they need gold. So look at what we did at the last cycle we had. We were using precious metals as money, and then all of a sudden, Federal Reserve, 1913, we got our war, World War I, World War II coming up. But in 1929, big stock market crash. Oh my God, we need all the gold. We need everybody's gold. We got to have the gold. We're going to be in trouble. To save the nation, turn in your gold, turn in your gold. And they confiscated everybody's gold. And then we went to paper. But the paper was, well, it's backed by gold. That's why we had to confiscate it. But that lasted until 1971. And then after Nixon took us off the gold standard, what happened to the price of gold? It freaking skyrocketed out of control to 1980, which went even crazier, $800. Granted, they've held the price down all these years. The year 2000, approximately 2001, that time frame, $250 gold. So even today, with the massive manipulation going on in the markets, it's still $1,250 approximately. That is a huge gain for 16 years or so, 17 years. So just think, and that's where my mindset is. Because when I always use Keith Newmayer's example of First Majestic, but I've showed you charts of other ones, not just Keith's company, where it was up in $40, $50, $60 a share. It's down to like $6, $7 right now. And I've seen this a few times over the last several years, more like the last 15 years. And I'm thinking, okay, if I could just get in on those when they're that low, when the next rise comes up, that'll be far better than actually owning precious metals, physical metals, because metals don't do that kind of return. When I saw Keith Newmayer's company doing that, precious metals weren't doing that. They didn't double. Gold didn't double. Not in that time frame, absolutely not. Now from 2000, when it was 250 and went up, it sure did. But if you look at the timeline of like Keith Newmayer's, it had movements within 2-3 years that were insane. So I'm thinking, well, if I can diversify a little bit, because for me, like I always say, my precious metals, which is just silver, I'm a 100% silver guy. I have my stack. And all this time that they've been keeping the prices down has enabled me and you guys to buy more. But only recently, as I've mentioned, have I thought about diversifying just a little bit. Which is why I did get in on that cobalt company. I got in a little bit, again, also on Keith Newmayer's First Majestic. And I'm going to sit on those. I'm going to sit on them for as long as I need to sit on them, because I have a feeling when metals really start to take off, because about that cycle, after the end of the paper cycle implodes, it goes back to gold. So they're not going to confiscate gold again. No, it goes back to gold. That was the point of me telling you that. So if gold really goes crazy, any and all mining companies are going to go ape, which I've showed you in the charts in my previous videos of, look, here's the potential. And this is during the time when they're trying to keep the price of precious metals down and succeeding. What happens when they don't? When the precious metals prices have to explode? Then you're going to see mining companies going crazy. So this is another one that I'm adding to my list, because I get people that email me, hey, what was your junior miners? Can you send me that list again? And I just have a few. On there right now. So anyways, I'm adding this one. This is why I reached out to this guy. I was able to talk to him. Granted, it's for his company. He's getting his company a plug, but when I saw the stuff that they were working on, like he said, that company, I think it's a Chinese company, they have a massive area. And they just, like he said, I looked it up already before I even did this video, is what I'm telling you. $300 million investment by the big company. And they are all over the outside of this thing. So it's like the shark circling in on the good stuff. And I said, this might be one of those things where you just get in, and it's one of those things, luck has it later on, you're telling your family how, old Grandpa Joe made a good move, and with his mining, things, and his gold and silver and his Bitcoin, all that stuff, and boy, he played that right. So that, and if you're wondering, what exactly are you in on? Precious metals, physical, as in silver. I've got my silver. Excuse me. Bitcoin, and for me, even though Bitcoin has done very well, it still scares the hell out of me. It's how does it really a physical, tangible asset? It's a digital blip somewhere. It's scary. But I still have it because there could be lots of money to be made on it. Why not take a little gamble? It's money you can't, again, if it's money you don't care about losing, who cares? So that's the second thing. Silver, I got my Bitcoin. I've got some of the cobalt stock, that company. And now I'm about to pull the trigger on this one here, this Kenadyr, and it's Kenadyr, Kenadyr Mining. I'm going to pull the trigger on that, a few of those. and then First Majestic. That's what my, if you will, portfolio looks like. But I want to protect people who listen to me, their financial situation, in the future. That's what I feel like my goal is when I do these videos. So when I find a little nugget, and let me be completely honest with you, especially after I did that last video, which I've never done to date, bring on some mining company and have them on my show. The other one I did a couple weeks back on the cobalt. I get emails and things. Hey, will you have us on your show? Can we talk about it? Well, what do you guys do? Okay, I'll get back to you, and I'll look at it. And I've had other mining companies, ones I've never even heard of as well, contact me. Hey, we noticed you did this. And it was just right after that video, I just kind of got flooded by some emails. And I'm looking at them. Okay, let me look at when they were created. What do they own? What are they trying to do? Do they have any land yet? Do they have done any, And I'm going to tell you now, there's quite a number of companies out there, not to be shocked or anything, but there's quite a number who are basically, how I like to say cook the books on a lot of my videos? They're not cooking the books, but they're fluffing themselves up to be a little bit more than what they actually are. And I don't feel comfortable, like I said, and I'll just tell them, yeah, I think I'm going to pass. I don't tell them why. I'm not going to say, look, I think you're just trying to pump and dump something. Nope. I'm not. I'm going to have to pass. Thanks, though. I'll be kind about it. Thanks. But again, there's honestly a few, very few, that I feel very comfortable with. And then and only then I'm not going to have them on my show. So anyways, I just wanted to let you guys aware of that. Again, no one's forcing anyone's hand to get in any stocks and, paper, assets, etc. Again, that stuff scares the hell out of me. But I do look back in the, past as far as I can go. Was there ever a time once stock markets existed that they just shut down and went away, completely collapsed in full? No. So whether we have a massive crash in the Dow or the major indexes, doesn't bother me, because companies like this, I think, are going to put our money to good use, and we won't be affected by the Dow and anything else crashing down. I just don't believe so, especially when it's a newer company, because a lot of times you'll hear, well, other stocks go down that have nothing to do with the main indexes when the markets crash. Why is that? Because people on margin are liquidating all their stocks across the board to pay the margin call on their huge losses, which means they've now went into something else that maybe you were invested in, and now the price is going down. So what's nice about some of these companies that are new, like this one, that who out there has this stock? Who has this stock right now? It just went, on the exchange like a week ago, less than a week ago, I think. So combine that in my mind, anyways. I'm thinking end of this year, man. It sure seems like they're going to pull the trigger on the markets. I don't know. I'm going to get in on it one way or the other. But again, always be careful with your money. Never put up the money that would devastate you if you lost it. That goes up for anything. Which again is why I like precious metals, because this thing in my hand right here can never go to zero. A stock, unfortunately, can. So if I'm getting into a stock of a company and they're actually digging for things like this, except in this case gold, your downside risk is a lot more minimal than anywhere else. So that's it. I want to bring another person on and let them give their spiel about their company once I give the JSNP4 stamp of approval, and share that with my my subscriber base.